Hi everybody, it's Mimi J. Welcome to my channel. We're going to be making a shabby chic, at least that's what I'm calling it, a lamp and shade, and most things come from the Dollar Tree. You're going to need 2 of the pedestals. I spray painted them. You're going to need one of the baskets, hanging baskets, a hurricane vase. You're going to need some ribbon, one of those little LED lights, and batteries, one of those small bowls. There is definitely some room for choice with the ribbons. You're seeing some things that I have used. E6000 for glue, and definitely some glue sticks and a hot glue gun. I used the packaging tape here. Don't know that you'll need it, but you may. I have some flowers. I made these. I can post a link to that video. Here I am just attaching the ribbon after letting the paint dry, of course, on the hanging basket. This ribbon is, it's about 2.5. I got this ribbon at Michael's, and I can try to put all that information in the description box. This is moving pretty fast, but this actually was a pretty work-intensive project. So as you can see, I'm threading that ribbon through. I measured out 3 feet, yeah, through about 3 feet. I didn't use quite that much. You'll see how I kind of figure out what I need at the top. I know you could measure, and you could do that. I'm just, not much of a math person. But certainly you could measure around the top and figure out how wide that needs to be, and then adjust it to that when you do your gathering at the top. So as you can see, I am using a low temperature hot glue gun to glue the ribbon edge right down along the rim of that basket. What would be the top is our bottom for the shade. So, and it's just a matter of smoothing it so that you don't have any gaps around the bottom, and that it's all filling in the entire thing, and it looks smooth. Now I did weave it in and out. I don't know that you have to do that. This ribbon does have the wire on the top and the bottom, so you could certainly do it with just a regular ribbon, but you would still have to gather the top or pleat it. You could gather it by sewing, but I haven't gotten to gathering yet. Still gluing, and be careful not to burn your fingers. That low temp, and I didn't burn myself, but you'll see later on I do put on one of those little silicone finger pieces when I'm working with some thinner material. So just better to err on the side of caution. So still gluing, and when I get to the end, I have a little extra, not a lot. I just wanted to be sure I had enough, so I'd prefer to over measure than under, or just have a little allowance. All right, so I cut the excess off, and we glue the bottom. Must have cut that part out. But you can see here I'm pulling that little wire that's at the top. That's for gathering the top. It's not going to be real ruffly. It'll have a little bit of a poof to it, but just mainly you just don't want huge gaps there. I can tell you this is not a quick and easy process. I didn't know exactly how long it would take. I worked on this for quite a while, but off and on, and we did have some unexpected things come up. But so you can see that it's just a process of working around, and once you get it about where it's the right amount of gathering, because it fits. It's just going to fit, and you're going to be pulling at both ends So, and be careful there because it's not as bad on this one, but it will be on the ruffle that we do. You want to be sure that when you're pulling one end of the wire, you don't pull the other end up into the fabric. So you're going to want to pull both ends when you're working with it. Otherwise, you'll be very disappointed with what happens. Okay, and once it's gathered enough, and you can still adjust some as you're going, but it looks about right, you can start gluing the hot glue gun to the wire, the little wire pieces that come down on the basket. Okay, and so you're just going to do that all the way around. And that's the only place I glued them, or glued the fabric rather. And I did notice, I watched this morning, can't think of her name right now, that's terrible. I know it, it's just because I can't think of it right now. 50 and Beyond, Josie, yes. She made a chandelier, and if I can try to put the link down for you. One of the pieces she used was this basket, but she didn't get hers at Dollar Tree. She got it at the 99-cent store. Notice there I'm just wrapping the wire around. So each end of the wire gets wrapped around the little piece of the basket there so that it's secure. Now I'm starting with my ruffle that's going to go around. Kind of drew it up at the end. Not again. I could have measured. I'm just being lazy. But yeah, so doing the gathering there. But anyway, as I was saying, she found one at the 99-cent store that is white. We don't have 99-cent stores where I live, much to my sorrow, because that would have been much easier. And I was going to say, let me warn you, that when you put glue on that, that paint may well come off. I would say you're going to want to use a sealer, and I totally forgot. We just had a crazy week, and I got it spray painted and had to put it up, and we went out of town and came back to work on it and just forgot that step. That might have helped, but again, the surface of that it's fine to spray paint it, but you know, it's just not the best surface for paint. I used Rustoleum in ivory that you can get at a hardware store. And it's a lot cheaper at the hardware store than it is somewhere like Michael's, but about the same, I guess, if you have a 50% off or 60% off coupon. So here I'm just taking that end of the wire and securing it to the basket. You can see, wrapping it around where the ruffle will begin. And I used to make these years ago, but I sewed lampshades, and I do mean years and years ago. So I realized this is just a lot like that. You could actually sew it on, but glue guns are a lot more efficient, I think, for these kind of crafts. And when I say you could sew it on, I mean sew it on by hand, which that sounds so tedious, doesn't it? But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I think this is still faster than that would be, but it could certainly be done. But again, this is going to take you some time. See, just going around, working with the ruffle, and I said this is a process of going through and applying the tape, pressing it down, glue, and making sure it bonds, making sure it adheres, and just trying to get that ruffle as even as you can. Okay, and as you're getting Yeah, so I've got quite a bit there still. Probably should have cut that off. I think I just still gathering here, you can see. And I have a little bit. I don't know why I didn't cut more off than I did, but it works fine. It just, I overlapped it some. You can see pulling it in there. It's not a huge overlap. And just tidying up the end there. And to make it look neater, fold under that little piece of fabric on the end before gluing it down. And glue it to the top, but you want to be careful when you glue it. Getting the wire down a little bit, but have to be at a place where you can wrap that end around too. So you want to be sure you do at least go to a place where you can wrap around the wire. And then you're just going to layer this over. You don't want the piece underneath to show, so try to make it so that the piece on top overlays it and it doesn't stick out. The one underneath doesn't show below it, at least not noticeably. Okay, and you'll see me gluing that there, just gluing the two pieces together, which is super simple. What I hadn't thought about is with that wire and with the spacing, there's a gap in between. It depending on how you look at it, you can see it through there. If you look, as I turn it, you'll be able to see it better. And I thought, ooh, I'm gonna have to do something about that. But I'll tell you what I did later. Here I've gone to the top, and this is that little string that came in the set from Michael's. It's such a pretty set. It was on sale for $7, and then I got, I think, 15% off of that. And you get 8 rolls. So that is, I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. Just ignore that. I'm trying to. He's barking at a car, I think. Yeah, so it's really a better deal because you get 8 rolls in there. I think there's about 3 feet on each, and these were all coordinated. I showed a picture at the beginning to go with the gold and the white. So I am gonna weave this around, and you're just gluing it around. It just takes a little bit of time. That's all. A little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and you know, if you wanted to use Dollar Tree ribbon, you could. And instead of this type of string that I've got, it's just a little more shabby chic looking. If you wanted to do a farmhouse decor piece, you could certainly use the jute string that Dollar Tree sells, and that would work just fine for this part, assuming you want to do this same thing. I think it does work well with the string. Actually, it's easier to work with this fine string because you don't have to worry about all those gathers and things. It's just so thin that when you put it on, it's going to conform to the shape of the basket, and as the basket gets wider, the rope just accommodates. It's great. All right, if you'll join me back for part 2, I'll try to put a link to it. Thanks so much, and please click like and subscribe. I'd love to have you come back.